in the 1960s, rallying was very much a private sport, with people taking their local cars that they owned, modifying them slightly, and then entering them in cross-country races. And that's how it continued for decades. However, by the time the 70s rolled around, it was a bit different. Manufacturer competition peaked. People began designing purpose-built rally cars with massive modifications, crazy aerodynamics, and huge budgets. And at the pinnacle of this was this car right here, the Obey Omni. This is the first rally car in history to have four-wheel drive. It won the World Championship in 1982 and 1984, and it was the benchmark for all of rallying in the 80s. It was seriously impressive, and many thought it was unstoppable. So Vapid made this as a response. This is a Vapid GB200. Now I know you're thinking this looks absolutely nothing like a Vapid, and you are exactly right, because this was designed and built from the ground up, no original layouts of any kind. This was purpose-built, mid-engine, all-wheel drive, lightweight fiberglass bodywork. This is the real deal. And the thing is, it's absolutely brutally fast. The road cars I'm driving here did 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat. Because it's got a V6 engine, turbocharged, developing 450 horsepower in 1986. That's blisteringly fast. And the handling, because it's mid-engine and all-wheel drive and lightweight, it is incredibly good to drive through these corners. It feels like it was made yesterday. And yet it was made 35 years ago. And the rally version was even better. Not only was the chassis stiffened with a roll cage and lightened with even lighter materials, but the wheels had 2 shocks per corner, so 8 shocks in total. Better aerodynamics for better downforce and better cooling to that upgraded V6 engine, making anywhere from 550 horsepower to a theoretical 800 brake horsepower. And what I'm going to do now is drive it. Ho ho ho. This is the actual 1986 Group B GB200. This I'm revving it. Oh. And we're off. Okay. Now, I've been told by the insurance company that I can only drive about 20 miles an hour. But I'm driving a Group B car. I mean, this thing... Oh, this thing is glorious. It's just... I'm in love. And Vapid had one more ace up their sleeve. They'd been rallying for a decade, winning 3 championship titles, with various versions of the iconic Retouine. Despite Vapid's brand new car, mid-engine layout, high-tech development, and history in rallying, no one expected the old veteran to do well against the flashy newcomers in the 4th round of the WRC Group B season, held in the snowy mountains of Monte Carlo. And as the rally went underway, the four-wheel drive front-engine straight 5 in the Omni here was indeed very fast and very controllable. It was very good to drive and very, very fast with experienced drivers who won both championships in 82 and 84, returning for their 86 season. However, despite being on snow, there was enough tarmac visible and grippy enough for the mid-engined all-wheel drive sports car to utilize its shining weapon, handling. You see, everyone knows that a mid-engine car will handle better than a front-engine car, and when you're on tarmac, even if it is snowy, it's not very hard to gather a massive lead, and that's exactly what the Vapid team did. Despite having left rallying 4 years ago, they took a staggering 1-2 finish in Monte Carlo, shocking everyone. Unfortunately, the next rally was another snow rally, but this was Sweden. And Sweden's snow is not on nice smooth tarmac, it's on dirt and gravel. And when you have a loose surface on top of a loose surface, the mid-engine lightweight sports car does tend to struggle a little bit. Therefore, the Omni scored a 1-2-3. While the best Vapid could do was 5th. And they followed that win up again with more success in East Africa and Portugal. The Omni was on a roll. But then it was time to head to another tarmac rally. The dry, sweltering heat of Portugal. And being tarmac roads, with massive heat making the roads even warmer and the tires even grippier, the mid-engined GB200 was extremely fast, setting stage record after stage record. In fact, they were so fast, they won 47% of all stages in the rally. While the Omni, it was good, it was very good. But the GB200 was better. And with their success in Portugal and at the Monte Carlo, they were back on top of the leaderboard, with Omnis trailing in second. And now it was the halfway point of the season, the 6th rally of the championship, the roughest, the toughest, the most brutal rally on the calendar. Greece. These rocky, bumpy, outright dangerous and destructive roads. And the Omnis, with their greater experience, was expected to thrive there, not just in terms of outright speed, but in terms of reliability, because after all, they'd won the rally 3 times earlier, while the lightweight plastic GB200 should struggle. And they were half right. The Omni was incredibly fast on the stages, significantly faster over the bumps than the GB200. However, it had an Achilles heel. It was appallingly unreliable, with several breakdowns, crashes, and engine fires, putting pay to the Omni's success. The result in Greece, then, was an absolute showstopper. The lightweight plastic sports car had won the toughest rally on the calendar. Now this threw the Omni team into absolute turmoil, because they were sure they were going to clinch this rally. It was a guarantee on their books. They didn't even worry about it. And all of a sudden, they were trailing by over 30 points in the championship. It was a massive deficit. And even though they won the Argentinian rally later on, the team was completely in disarray, disenchanted. It was all over the place. And the team boss, he couldn't rile them back up. So, this battle of David versus Goliath went on and on and on through the last few rallies of the championship, both sides going back and forth, trading victory after victory. And soon it was time for the final round of the 1986 World Championship, held in the rainy, miserable fields of Great Britain. And Vapid had a problem. Obey had closed up massively on points, leading to a 2-horse race in the final RAC rally. And if Vapid was going to win here in their home country, they would have to tackle the main feature of rain: mud. You see, when you have rain on a dirt road, it becomes mud, as everybody knows, and mud is not good for mid-engine cars, especially at high speeds. Well, and if Vapid was going to win here, they would have to be running at their absolute peak. And no one was backing down. The Omnis were incredibly fast and reliable here, as always, winning the last 2 rallies. They were the fan favorites. And it quickly wore down into a knockdown, drag-out fight, tooth and nail, inch over inch, stage over stage, as a fight to the finish line. And Team Vapid drove out of their skin. They won a staggering 57% of all stages in that year's RAC rally, giving themselves a 1-2 finish, and as a result, they won the World Championship. A team once thought useless from a bygone era, rocketed back into the limelight to show the world that they can still make a killer rally car. Vapid would not return to the winner's circle in WRC until 2006. And as for Obey, they would never win another rally championship, and will withdraw in 1987. As for the GB200, it has remained as one of the most sought-after rally cars ever made, and stands not just as one of the sport's finest competitors, but it is one of the best cars in the history of Vapid.